Good morning. Welcome to Israel. Scapegoat, the word. It's a strange word. Scapegoat. And, well, the Jewish tradition has a scapegoat. On Yom Kippur, for the Day of Atonement, two goats were chosen, one for a sacrifice in the temple, and one for taking to a desert cliff and pushed over the cliff. And these are God-given atonements. They're not invented by man. However, man did have, for thousands of years, this concept of removing guilt, removing negativity, removing judgment from a person or a group of people or a whole community or even a nation. They had this concept of moving the negative energy on the person or the collective onto an animal. And then the animal would be the vehicle for transferring the negative energy. And that's what we call atonement, which is bringing us back to a straight, a clear, a clean, direct relationship with God. And people always, well, why does the animal have to die? Well, I'll share a very important principle. No spiritual energy can enter this world without attaching to something physical. Now, we as human beings are made in the image of God, so we can both create spiritual energy. We're physical. We live in the physical world. We're already a vehicle for the transfer of spiritual energy into the physical because we're connecting both worlds. We're both physical and spiritual. But let's say there's an energy from somewhere else and it wants to come down. Let's say someone judges somebody else. They're transferring that energy from a person to another person. This is the spiritual realm. When people have negative energy on them and they regret it, they're already beginning the process of removing it. The scapegoat is the address that's safe for the human to remove the negative energy onto that animal. Why does it have to be the animal? Why can't it just fly up in the air, you might ask? Well, because it's going to then look for some place else to jump on. Because we don't understand the devekut, the attachment of the spiritual and the physical. How bound is your soul to your body? Well, the things that we create are bound to us too. So if I create a negative or positive energy, it's bound to me. If you do something good, it becomes part of you, and it shows in your face, it shows in your speech, it shows in your behavior in the world. And so too with the opposite. And Orthodox Jews, they're praying every day and doing vidui, which is, supplication, which is a fancy word for saying I'm sorry to God every day, trying to remove any negative energy we might have picked up during the course of the day or the night. Now, the scapegoat is the convenient chosen vehicle. It's a kosher animal. All animals that remove this negative energy have to be kosher. That's part of the structure of the world between the human, the animal kingdom. And there's different levels within the animal kingdom. There's different levels within the plant kingdom, as we know, and the mineral, etc. Now, when people just sin a lot, comes a backlog, there's a traffic jam. There's no place to receive all the negative energy. Or the people don't do the tshuva, God forbid, and they don't say they're sorry, and they don't take the straight path anymore. Then it builds up and it builds up, and God is patient. God is very patient until it builds up to a point where it needs to come out somewhere. And that's what we see in the spiritual world happening, is the build up of the negativity until God says, okay, enough. We're going to give you Yom Kippur to start the year over, to clean up the slate, to purify yourselves and begin again. Okay, well, right now it's not the time of Yom Kippur. We're in the time of the Sphira to Omer, right? It's the 19th day of the Omer. The Omer was a time of also return, also a processing of negative energy, because it was the time that the Jewish people left Egypt and were in the desert. And they did certain things that caused them to bring more negative energy on them, like the episode with the spies. The spies gave a bad report about the land. They spoke evil about this great gift. You want to hurt somebody? Take a gift they've given you and tell them, it's nothing to me. That caused a lot of pain in heaven. And that created a decree of 40 years in the desert. That's a pretty serious punishment for 3.5 million people to get 40 years in the desert. Now, of course, they had the help. They had the man. They had to have bread from heaven. They had clouds of glory to protect them from the sun in the day, and they had fire, a pillar of fire at night to guide them, or to at least create some reading light, in your tent. However, this is still a period of the removal of that negative energy of those things. All the way up to Shavuot. Shavuot, we get the Torah. Now we reach a new level. We return to the level of Adam before the sin. That's symbolized by the sanctification of space and time in the human realm, by the clouds of glory and the pillar of fire, but also by everybody being healed. The sick were healed when the Torah was given. The deaf, the mute, the blind, the crippled, they were all healed. Because that's what happens when you go back to heaven. You drop your body off at the repair shop and you take off to heaven. You don't need that broken body anymore. And so they had a moment of, even when the first two commandments gave, they died. They left their bodies, and then the God said, no, better put them back. They can't handle this yet. Okay, so we see that the scapegoat was a very essential piece of the spiritual equation to remove the negativity from the nation and from a person and from a community. And what about a race? The human race? God said, these people, they keep doing the wrong things. They keep creating negative energy wherever they go. It's kind of embarrassing when you think about it, to be human. But we do. That's why we're made, because we're made from the heaven and the earth. And the earth is a very mechanical type of thing, and it has very mechanical desires and fears. And so we fear for ourselves. So people, when they fear, first they steal. And when people have a lot of desire, they lust. And that creates a lot of problems. Okay. So God said, well, what am I going to do now? How am I going to save the human race? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some righteous people, the ones who are really on the level, and I'm going to make a nation out of them. The Jewish people. The Israel. The Israeli people. B'nai Yisrael became the vehicle of transference of the negativity and to provide an atonement for the entire human race. And that's, my friends, why we are a scapegoat. And that's why we keep getting blamed. And that's why they keep chasing us around the world. Wherever we are now, they're chasing us off the campuses and out of the museums and out of the libraries, wherever they can. And that's why the nations are clueless, and absolutely the very well-trained Muslims and Christians understand this concept, if they've done enough learning. But it doesn't, just because they do the learning up here doesn't mean it changes in their heart, their desire not to be the vehicle of the scapegoating. That's the key. If you're a righteous non-Jew, if you're a righteous Christian or Muslim or Hindu or anything, just pure righteous, forget about the religious aspect. You want to be a good person and have a good life. You don't want to be the person that is the vehicle of creating the scapegoating on the Jews. So that's what's happening through Hamas, through militant Islam, worldwide. It doesn't matter which five guys get together and call themselves the Islamic Brotherhood or the Hamas or the Jihad or the Revolutionary Guards, whatever name they pick. They're all possessed by the same thing. Well, why do you say that is? Why are they so insane that they love the blood sports? They go out there in their pickup trucks with rifles like they're going on a hunting trip, but they're hunting human beings. Sounds like a movie, doesn't it? It's a lot to take in, I know. But when we get this down, when we understand, at least we can feel like, oh, something starts to make sense here. God created us in his image as his partner in creation. We're not observers. We're not people in the stadium watching the action. We are the players. God is the coach, if you want to stretch the metaphor further. And the nations are participating in the spectatorship, and they're also part of it, though, obviously, because their positive or negative energy are shifting the balances of good and evil. And so the Jewish people were chosen for a very difficult job, and because of that, they receive very big benefits when they keep God's law. When they keep God's law with intelligence. If you see the wave coming, you leave Europe before the Nazis ever take over Germany. You leave America before the Muslims take over the Senate. Or Dearborn, Michigan. You leave. Now you say, Avraham, I can't leave New York. All my family's here. My kids, my grandkids. I know what that's like. I can imagine. I left my family. But I was a young person when I went unmarried when I came. So it was much easier to come to Israel then. But okay, this is not a talk about Aliyah per se. Because the Eretz Israel doesn't seem much safer. We got rockets and missiles and boom, boom, boom every day and night. But we understand why it's happening is to bring the Jewish people to a higher level. And by doing so, we bring the whole human race to a higher level. And even the militant Muslims might get a little bolt of lightning in their mind and understand that, okay, this is God's world and he's running it the way he's chosen to, with perfect logic and genius, brilliant operation. And I don't want to be the one that delivers the bad news to the Jewish people. I call it bad news. But we're part of the process, and so we've suffered the most. And we've also lasted the longest. And we also have this amazing land here that is like no other land for a million reasons. We should just do a talk about how great Eretz Israel is. But just for today, understand what the scapegoat is. I used to call it the scapegoat. We had a goat once in a while. I said, let's put skates on this goat. Let's see how he does on the ice rink or on the roller rink, A scapegoat, but it's really not a scapegoat. It's escapegoat. It's the escape of din, of judgment, of negativity, of evil, to remove us. It is a gift from God, and the Jewish people are supposed to be a gift from God to the whole world, to do the same thing that it's done on Yom Kippur for the individual, and the city, and the nation, and the entire world. So the first question is, where are you in the process? Second question is, where would you like to be in the process? And if you're a person that chooses to be the one who implements the scapegoating, whether you're in the media or you're behind an M16 or an AK-47 or a bomb belt, or you're digging a tunnel, or you're giving advice to the other people to build a tunnel and getting paid for that, then, I kind of feel sorry for you, because you made a horrible decision that will affect your soul for the rest of your existence, including future reincarnations if you merit. And if you're on the side of the Jewish people and you see it as clearly as I'm trying to share, you say, wow, I don't want to be on the side of the scapegoaters, but I don't really feel like being a scapegoat. I don't want to be a Jew who's going to take on all this. And most of the Jews, of course, didn't take it on consciously now. They did when they received the Torah. But I don't know how well they understood how it's going to play out in history back then, 3,300 years ago, when the Torah was given. The Jewish people got that deal. And believe me, it's still a good deal that God gave us. It hurts a little more, but the pain is good. Anybody who works out knows about pain. And anybody who's married knows about pain. And anybody who's been in love knows about pain. So we have to choose. Every moment is a moment of choice. And if you're a good person and you don't care about religion, you still choose. You have to choose. Choose good. Choose, well, I'm going to take the side of the Jewish people. I'm going to take the side of the truth. The truth is that innocent people were murdered by people who chose to murder. That's the simple setup. The complex setup that we're talking about today, where they're just instruments of a greater plan, that's really, it's not our business to step into God's courtroom unless we're going to take responsibility for our actions. And I'm not sure most of us are ready for that. I say, let God run his courtroom, and we want to stay far away from those lawyers up there, because they have infinite files and they can check out everything about everybody. And it's better not to have your file open, believe me. And just say, God, I'm sorry, help me, protect me, lead me, guide me. Be with me, be with my family, be with my children, be with your family, be with your children, your grandchildren, your grandparents, whoever you know, pray for them to make the right choice, the choice of life, the choice of goodness, the choice of being in the right place at the right time, because big things are on the way. This process is not ended with the little war out there across the hills. This is a global event that we're experiencing and existing in. It's going to go on until the full polarization of good and evil. And when good and evil are completely separated, then we're going to see a transformation in the human race and in our planet and the way everything works. And it's going to be really good. God bless you all. Have a great day.